I'm from Stateside Press, and I'm here with Ethan Hughes, who's coming off a third round TKO win at Bellator 271. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you.
Awesome, man. It's awesome to be talking with you. It's been 11 days since your fight. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. A lot of like the swelling that I had, because all I had like damage wise was like like a my eye was a little swollen after the fight. But that's almost like completely gone away. There's still like redness and stuff. It's a little creepy, but I'm good.
Awesome. You said that you just got off work. What do you do other than fighting?
I move I unload trucks and I move like pallets around.
Gotcha, gotcha. Um, So, I mean, let's talk about your fight, man. Your fight with Mahmoud Sebi. You were a plus 750 underdog. He was a plus 1300 favorite. I mean, did you feel like you were being thrown to the wolves?
I knew that this was a skilled guy. And I knew, being that this is like a Bellator fight, it was going to be a much bigger than I'm used to thing. So I was definitely prepared to give everything that I had out there and really push. So I definitely wasn't underestimating him at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think the public kind of just felt like you were just being thrown in there to get another highlight on his reel, you know?
Right.
Um, had you seen him fight before?
Yes, I watched for before I fought him, because it was a very short notice fight. It was like 10-day notice that I was fighting him, and in that time I had watched the three previous fights that he had, and I seen that he hadn't really had longer than maybe 30 seconds in the cage. He's very fast, so I figured I'm tough enough for 30 seconds.
Dude, so taking a fight against that dude on 10 days notice, was there any thought in your head to say, nah, I'm good?
Oh, definitely not. This was for Bellator. This was big time. I was like, I'll take it. I actually had a shoulder injury before the fight, before I had to back out of my previous fight. And but yeah, even with all of that, I was like, fighting for Bellator. I'll take it. Even we expected, that I mean, I always expect to win. I always want to win, but we expected that this was going to be a tough guy, and win, lose, or draw, it's good experience.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, what was the game plan?
Um, Definitely. I felt confident about my ground game, but the idea was definitely to avoid that and use more strikes, use jabs, and just kind of like lighter punches until he moved in and shot for takedowns, and then I was going to utilize that uppercut and maybe some knees. Uh, but he didn't really he wasn't quite as aggressive with the shots as I thought he was going to be, and my ground game was a lot more solid for that. So after I went for a couple submissions, I think he was much more nervous of my guard.
Did you feel him gas?
He maintained his strength throughout the whole thing pretty well. But he definitely slowed down a lot more. At the beginning, I think, like I said, he was used to like 30-second wins. So he poured a whole lot out there. He was very shaky, just trying to finish it quick. And when it went longer than that, he definitely slowed his pace.
Gotcha. What was the reception from Bellator after the win?
Oh, it was great. Those people were so nice. It was amazing, really. As you saw, I hugged that lady after I fought. She wrapped my hands. She was incredibly sweet. Mr. Burt Watson, he was motivating people, and he said, "I told you, baby, that was your show." So yeah, all those people, they were fantastic. They were definitely surprised that I got the win.
Did they welcome you back?
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh, uh, uh, not. I don't quite know yet. They said that they would definitely keep me in mind for that. So it's not not for sure yet, but we're waiting news and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, dude, you're 20 years old. How and you've only been fighting a couple of years. First of all, for anybody that doesn't know your story, how did you get into mixed martial arts?
Well, me and my brother from like a very young age, we were into things like our dad, he watched MMA whenever we were really young. He would buy the videotapes and stuff. And he would watch a lot of the cool like Bruce Lee movies and stuff like that. And also kind of got us into anime. And whenever he got us into it initially through like Dragon Ball Z, we watched a lot more, of anime and stuff like that. And that really, the combat and the fighting, that kind of culture always definitely really spoke to us. So I would say, as well as my brother also, whenever I was 14 whenever I joined, but before that, my brother was 17, I believe, and he wanted to be a cage fighter. And our mom said, if you're going to get in the cage, you need to have a martial art or something, real backing that. You can't just go in there like a street fighter. So he went to the only place that we had in town. It was a jiu-jitsu gym. And Jeremy Bond was actually the head coach. And we went in, we trained with him for a while. And after that, we stayed with that same team even till now. And we started training with our current coach as well, Kurt Hollabo. He really got us the striking and the training, all around training that we needed for that, so there's definitely the initial interest, I would say, has probably been through my dad and my brother. And then after that, anime.
So your brother started fighting first, and then you followed in his footsteps.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Awesome. I mean, what's it like having what's it like having a brother as a pro fighter?
Well, definitely me and him have always been super competitive with each other. We've sparred and we fought since we were like really, really little. And in our fighting career, he kind of paved a lot of the way for it. So like, he had his first amateur fights, and then after I had my amateur fights, and he turned pro, and shortly after I turned pro. So this was like definitely very different because I'm used to him being like a little bit ahead of me. So him not really experiencing like the big stage like Bellator was definitely a first for me. I got to be a little bit ahead in that area. So that felt, it was great, and also a little bit scary, because of unfamiliar territory.
Gotcha, man. Yeah, so you had five amateur fights. What was the deciding factor to go pro?
Well, we definitely knew that we wanted to do this, from a very young early age. And like I said, my brother turning pro, of course, helps that as well. But I felt from my first amateur fight that I had, that was immediately like whenever I trained beforehand. I trained MMA and it was still fun. It was all of that, you get to be cool, do all the cool moves. But whenever I got in the cage, I felt stupid because like for the first minute, it was just the dude hit me and me not hitting him back. And it was I had a very rough introduction. I was 17 when I had my first amateur fight. And I fought a dude who was 28 and he had no losses. That was another one where they thought I was going to lose for sure. And so after having the intensity in my amateur fights, I was like, I want to start getting paid for getting beat up if I have to. So that was a little bit of the motivation there as well, is that I felt ready. I had plenty of experience and plenty of people to help me turn pro. So I felt really confident in that decision.
So you kind of brought something up. So like in your previous fight, you felt like an underdog. This past fight, I mean, you must have had that feeling, right? Do you feel like you're the underdog in most of your fights?
Uh, I do. I always feel like that, you know. I guess I'm more comfortable with that feeling, you know, because it's a lot less pressure when you're expected to lose. And people, right? You get to show more. You get to be a lot more interesting when they expect a different outcome. So I don't know about most of them, but I've had a good mix where I was expected to lose, I would say.
Gotcha. Dominance MMA, did you reach out to them or did they reach out to you?
Well, they reached out to me. I mean, they're a big, big management team, you know. So I was really surprised after I got the fight, or you know, after I fought the guy that they reached out to me, and he said, you know, um, that they manage people like Khabib and other huge big time fighters, and I was like losing my mind. It was a second shock. I was unclassified from the fight, and then that raised it even more.
um, yeah, that's awesome. Did you have any other management companies reach out to you?
um, we've had a few offers previously, but after this fight, none of them were as like immediate, as quick as they were.
Did you tell your family and friends to bet on you?
Yeah, well, yeah, I did. I always say, yeah, bet on me, and they were. I don't think any of them actually got the chance to, because again, it was 10 days, so it was really short time frame. But yeah, they there were a couple people who after the fights they messaged me and said that I made them a bunch of money.
What did you do after your fight?
I'm sorry.
What did you do after your fight?
We sat and watched them, watched the rest of the fights. Had to stay and check them out, of course.
That's awesome, man. So, what's next? What do you want to do, man? You're 20 years old. I mean, and you just knocked off one of the biggest prospects in all of MMA in many eyes, man. He's an Olympian, and you broke him. Do you want to stay with Bellator? Do you want to go back on the regional scene and get some experience? Do you feel like you're experienced to fight in Bellator? What's the perfect kind of scenario for you?
Oh, I definitely want to keep going up. Bellator is a fantastic organization, and it would be amazing to continue to work with those people, especially experiencing how nice and how good they were to their fighters and stuff like that. Of course, I would also be just as willing and just as happy to take UFC and other places like that, like you know, like ONE FC or PFL, other you know big places. I would be happy for all of those because I see those as higher level, and I think the more experience I have doing it, the better I will become. And yeah, definitely, I definitely want to keep growing.
Awesome, man. And you went 3-0 in 2021. What do you want your 2022 to look like?
Hopefully 3-0, 4-0, or whatever. You know, I want those. I want the wins.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me, man. If you want to plug your social media, plug your sponsors, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. I definitely want to thank people like my first sponsor that I had was it was originally the retreat for the Wiggins, and it was we did that for like weight cuts and stuff like that, you know, to help our fights be a little easier. And they would let us use the sauna, and they would give us massages and things like that. They helped us a lot through it. And the guy who owned that business, the retreat, also opened up a business, Southbound Overstock, which is the one I currently work for now. And they you know have given me the opportunity to continue to fight and continue to do what I love anytime I need it off for you know to travel to these places like Florida or Michigan or places like that. They gave me the time, and they helped us do that, so I'm very thankful to them. I also want to thank Flint Creek Physical Therapy. I've had injuries in the past, like injuries on like my ACL, and like I said, I hurt my shoulder here recently. So those guys have helped, you know, helped me through that process, and it's very emotional and they were there for me for a lot of that. So I'm super thankful to those guys as well. Also, of course, shout out to my newer sponsors, the people at Chop Shop Diesel and Mangiamo's and all those guys. Super great. Oh yeah, yes, and Alliston's t-shirt printing too. They gave us some awesome shirts to advertise. That's super cool of them. So yeah, I think that covers everything.
Awesome, Ethan. Well, it was nice to talk with you, man, and I the future is very bright, man, and I hope to talk to you very soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.